So let's take a moment to just turn within together so that we can fully realize that divine presence that is at the very center and core of our being. This divine presence is not only here within us, it is everywhere present. It stretches from here to eternity and back. It is all that there is. It is love, it is peace, it is wisdom, it is beauty, it is joy. And we are that. We are created from that divine presence. And in this moment, I know for each of us, we are one with it and one with each other. And this morning, I know that each of us is here to express the love and the joy and the wisdom and the perfection of the divine. I know that each one of us here today is blessed, and we are the blessing. So I know this morning that the love that is descending upon us is that infinite love that is God, is that it is that profound, eternal, unconditional love. And it is the very same that we are. I give thanks for all of this time together. I give thanks for every interaction, every handshake, every spoken word. And I give thanks for the music. Every song that is sung is the divine expressing through and as us and through our musicians. I give thanks for the technical people who do their very best to make this the most perfect service. And I give thanks for each one of us, for all that we are and for all that we shall be. And so in this state of gratitude, I release this word into the divine law that always says yes, knowing it is already done. And so we can all say together, and so it is.
So we've been exploring the path this month of love. We've been exploring the theme of wings, being on the wings of love, and allowing ourselves to be lifted by that. And so we started off by allowing ourselves to rise in love. We had a couple of wonderful guest speakers, Reverend Abigail Shire from Seattle, and I can't remember the second. We had a second speaker the second Sunday. Oh yeah, it might have been you.
Oh yeah.
It was you.
Yeah.
And who introduced us to the idea that in order to get into heaven, you have to be able to spell trichodiscophobia or something like that. Yeah, yes. Yeah. There's a story behind that. If you want to know that story, watch the August 10th talk, and she will, where Reverend Carey enunciates that story. But we've been looking at that. We've been looking at soaring in love. We've been looking at the turbulence of love. And that's where we kick and scream down the path of love, yes? Yes. And our, as the song says, our highest thoughts and our lowest thoughts both are giving us information at the same time. How many of you have experienced that? You know that, it's like, I want to soar, but then there's this little thing in me that goes, yeah, And so that's where we encounter the turbulence of love. And finally, today we're going to look at the descent of love. And that's not as in crash, but as in a gentle setting back down from the high soaring to how do we bring that into our lives on a day-to-day basis on this human physical plane? Because you and I are the divine in form, yeah? Yes. You and I are the divine in form. We are love in form. So I have this nice talk that I have all written out. We've even got a little slide to go with it. And this morning it all got rearranged. So I was sitting in my backyard, as I oftentimes do at this time of year, doing my morning meditation. And when I do that, there's a bunch of birds out there, and they kind of fly around. A couple of times they've lit on me and stuff like that. And I have a hummingbird that sort of flies by and buzzes my ears. And I was sitting there this morning just realizing it's like the life of that hummingbird and my life are equally important. The life of the hummingbird and my life are equally important. There's simply life, what I like to call capital L life, and it's showing up as everything. Everything. Take that in for a moment. As human beings, we oftentimes tend to operate on a continuum of a narcissistic self-importance. The world is all about me. It must be the way that I want it to be, of course. Or a total codependent, I'm worth nothing, and I must conform to what everybody else thinks of me or wants me to be. And we sit there somewhere on that continuum. Not you guys, but you know people, right, out there, yeah, who do that. So taking a breath. What if there was another way? What if just simply the realization that we are this infinite presence itself, that we are neither no more nor no less than anything else? What if we don't have to change the world, but simply allow ourselves to be who we already are, which is love and life in form? And without trying to change the world, would that perhaps create a change within our world? If I am being that, if I am just being who I truly am, without all the turbulence, without the kicking and screaming, and even loving the kicking and screaming, because we all have some of that within us, yes? And loving that too. So it was just simply the idea of, what if our strategic plan, we're working towards a strategic plan for our community, what if our strategic plan is to just simply be spirit in form in the best way that we can? Take a breath. And so this is the descent of love. This is the moving of love into form. This is letting it express as you and me. So it's the nature of the divine to take form. It's the nature of this infinite presence. Have you noticed? There's a lot of form, right? One of my favorite photographs of all time is something called the Blue Dot. And it was taken by the Voyager spaceship as it was exiting the solar system. And the people who were guiding that turned it around and had its camera take a photograph back. And 1 pixel worth of that picture, 1 pixel, right, is our planet. In this vast, immersive thing. When I talk about narcissistic, self-importance, many of us in the human race grew up with this variety of religions that taught things like, we are the most important thing in the world, right? We're the most important planet. Everything revolves around us. And there's a guy sitting right up there, a god sitting right up there, or gods sitting right up there, or right up in that mountain, or whatever, that are operating us and manipulating us. And oh my God, what if that wasn't true? I know, blasphemy. Those who have been here for a while, and by the way, I notice there's a number of new and newer faces in here. Welcome. Thank you for being here, and thank you for checking us out. We're a little light today because of the holiday, but I'm glad you're here because you make it more of a holiday for us and celebration. But those who have been here for a while know that I like to use the metaphor of that we talk about the sun rising and the sun setting, but the sun isn't moving relative to us. We're moving. And so that's the view that if we step back from the narcissistic, the universe is moving around me to where I am a part of a whole universe that is being. Take a breath. Let that soak in for a moment. So it's the nature of the divine to take form. So, Carrie, I think I will use that image, please. So we have something we call the teaching symbol. It represents the what we call the creative process. And it's a threefold process. It's a threefold representation of the infinite presence. And that threefold representation is found in all sorts of spiritual traditions, right? In all sorts of different ways. Many of us know from Christianity as the Trinity. In Hinduism, it's called the Trimurti. In Taoism, it's the Daiji, it's the central pole of Tao, and then the yin yang, which creates the 5 elements, which creates all of form. And so the way that it works is that all of it, there's a reason there's a circle around it, all of it is the wholeness itself. So it's not separate parts of the wholeness, it is the wholeness. But the wholeness expresses in different forms. If you're not sure, notice that your neighbor is a little bit different form than you, right? Okay? And the chair is a little bit different form than your neighbor, right? And the hummingbird is a little different form than me. And so it expresses in all these forms. And so at the upper level of that form is what we call the ideal, the ideal. So this is where things like pure love, pure beauty, pure power, pure peace reside. Okay? And then as we move that down, and it wants to express, and the V represents the desire for that potential, that infinite potential to show up in, and the bottom layer is form. I'll spoiler alert, the bottom layer is form, okay? And so it's looking for a way to show up in form, and so it moves through that middle layer, which we call the law, or the process of moving from thought or ideal into something tangible. This chair right here, the one you're sitting on, was somebody's thought before it ever was a chair, right? It went through a process for thought to become form. And so that's what we talk about in that middle layer. We call it the law, and which is simply the law of cause and effect. The law of what I put into it comes out the other end of it. If our subjective field, sort of like the soil and the climate when we raise a plant, is clear and is good, it raises whatever we plant into it, right? If I plant a poppy seed into the soil, I'm not going to get a geranium out of it, am I? Or an ear of corn, right? I'll get the same thing that I planted in. If it's toxic, and at the cosmic level it's not toxic, but this recreates in each and one of us, right? So we have our own ideal, we have our own highest thoughts, and then we move them into this place where kicking and screaming happens within us. Our high thoughts and our low thoughts are conditioned. How many of us have had conditioning from our childhood that is not necessarily supportive of the most highest expression of life through us? Right, everybody's hand should be up. So that's what interferes with the pure flow of the law through it. That, by the way, is the cue to, that's where we all do the work, is how do we clear that out? And whether it's through prayer, whether it's through, I've got Hillary over here, through sound baths and allowing that to vibrate our bodies at a healthier level, all of that is a process for clearing out that law so we can be more clear on that. Have a seat, you guys. We got our youth that are going to present here. We're running just a touch behind. But that's the process that we use. And so and then once we plant that into the soil, the process is automatic. Just like when you plant a seed of what I say, a poppy seed, you don't have to make it happen into a poppy, right? Do you have to make it into a poppy, or do you allow it to grow into a poppy through its own natural process? Which? Yeah, let it grow. In fact, if you dig it up and look at it and see if it really is poppying, you'll kind of probably interfere with the process. So we let the law do it, and the law automatically shows up into form. That seed automatically shows up into form. I don't have to do anything with it. So the seed that we're still planting, that we're planting today, is the seed of love. The seed that we're focused on this month is the idea of love, the ideal of love. And our youth have been working for this whole month on their ideas of love. And so they're going to come up and talk a little bit about that and present a little bit about that and show us what they've been up to. Microphone is right there.
Good morning. I will just let them take it away.
And if you guys can say your names, that would be wonderful.
My name's Lachlan, and these are our love lanterns. We made them to remind us that love is like a light we can always carry with us, even when things feel dark or hard. Love can help guide us, and remind us that we're not alone.
My name is Navaya, and our lanterns also show that when we share our light, it helps brighten the way for others too. And then these are our wings of truth. They remind us that love lifts us up and helps us be our true selves. When we stand in front of the wings, it feels like love is carrying us higher. They remind us that when we live from love and truth, we can inspire others to help others and help each other soar.
We'd like to invite you to stand in front of the wings too and get your picture taken so you can remember that love is carrying you just like it carries us.
And so we can do that, were you thinking of after the service? Yes. So, and will you take the pictures, Adrian? Yeah. Okay. I'll take the pictures. All right. Okay. So if you would love to have your pictures taken, and the wings look like they have attributes or qualities or something on them. So if you would like to have your picture taken to remind you that you not only are on the wings of love, but you are the wings of love. So, Leah.
So this past month, July 20th through 25th, was me and Zia's first teen camp. Yeah. We went into it not really knowing what to expect, just from what Adrian and Ocean had told us. And I think we were definitely a bit nervous. It was just me, Zia, and Maya, who's not here today, but seemed like most people had already been there in the past and most people had already known each other. But as soon as we got there, we were very warmly welcomed by Soleil, and it wasn't hard to just immediately feel a really big sense of community with everyone there. Everyone just was so inviting and welcoming, and it was really great because, like, immediately we just felt like we belonged. And do you want to say your thing?
There's a really big presence of calm and just peace there. Like when you get there, it's like a break. You just get to chill, and it's really nice. That's what I had to say.
And then my takeaway for how I'm using what we kind of talked about and learned at camp in my own life is a sense of and a feeling of acceptance for myself and for others, and being able to not have judgment, because at teen camp there was no judgment at all. Everyone was just accepting, and you could just come as you were and you would be accepted for it. I think that's about it.
Okay. My main takeaway from camp is that you can find friendship in unexpected places as long as you're open and welcoming, and yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. And towards the end of our service, they're going to guide us in a process that is done at teen camp so that you can have a more direct experience of that love. So, Kathy, you'll get your wish for at least a little segment of it that you can go to teen camp. So thank you so much. And I honor both of you for your courage to do something like that first time, because it can be intimidating to go to a place like that. So, and the teen camp is held actually just down the road from us in Vernonia, Oregon, about 45 miles east of Portland, and teens from all over the country. And do you have anybody from outside the country? Not this year? Okay. Yeah, sometimes there are teens that come from other places. I know one time when I was assistant there was somebody from France and that. So teens from all over the country and sometimes Canada come to that once a year. And there's also a shorter winter camp. And if you want to do that, Kathy, you can actually sign up to be a facilitator and help out with the teen camp. You can't actually be a teen anymore. I'm sorry, I can't either. That ship has sailed, but they are open to that. So Zia said something I think is very profound that I wanted to also communicate. We're not here to get love, other words, walking into that trying to get friendship. We're here to be love. We're here to experience the love that's already here, and to experience that if we can take down our barriers and open to that. So this week I want to invite us to take in 3 practices. I want to mention that we've been working all month with this book called The Teachings on Love by Thich Nhat Hanh. And there's a number of fabulous practices for, if you're like me, you have maybe some stuff to clear out about love. And if you're not like me, then you're all healed and fine. But I found this book to be really helpful to start to clear some stuff out from a Buddhist perspective, but not just a strictly Buddhist perspective. And so, our 3 practices, one is to engage in a practice to create a healthier soil or climate in that mid-level for yourself, for the seeds of love to grow and flower. And so doing some of the practices in this book, or doing anything that's a forgiveness or a lifting up or an opening, or how can I connect more in love, is a very powerful process to do. So that's spiritual practice 1. Spiritual practice 2 is knowing that what we contemplate, we create. I'll say it again, what we contemplate, we create. And so to contemplate love. Contemplate love in your life. You know, we get the news blaring at us to contemplate things other than love. Yes, have you noticed? Okay. Contemplate love. Take some time to pull away from that. It doesn't mean you don't have to know what's going on in the world, but take some time to do a deeper contemplation on how can I be love? And contemplate love for yourself and for all beings. And then finally, each morning, ask yourself, what is something I can do today to express more love in the world? What is just one little thing I can do today to express more love in the world? So are you willing to play with those 3 practices? Engage in a practice to create a healthier soil, contemplate love, and ask, what can I do today to create more love? Yes? Yes. Yay. I want to close with a quote from, this is from a French philosopher named Jacques Maritain, who is quoted by James Finley on Richard Rohr's email site. Got all that? It doesn't matter. It's the quote itself. If there's a place where Christ isn't present, and by Christ, in this teaching, what we mean is the consciousness itself, that Christ is the embodiment in human form of the highest qualities of the divine. It's not the last name of a guy from 2,000 years ago, okay? It's a consciousness, and it was never intended to be that. It just got, what do you call it? Railroaded, hijacked away from that. If there's a place where Christ isn't present, you go there. Christ will be present this way. If there's a place where you're seeing not love, you go there, and love will be present that way. And our closing affirmation, say this with me. I open to the flow of love through and as me. I am already and always immersed in infinite love. Say that again. I open to the flow of love through and as me. I am already and always immersed in infinite love. And so it is.